I very often get asked by my clients that what is the best way to provide feedback to their team members. Now, providing feedback is one of the essential skills of a leader or manager, and you need to make sure that the team or the team member is aligned with where the company is headed to, knows what he or she is doing, what the person is doing well, and what the person needs to improve on. Now, it's an exercise which I've realized that not very many people enjoy because it's very tricky to give that positive and also not so positive feedback to the other person. Now, there is also a fundamental problem with feedback. It is about the past, something that cannot be changed, something that's static, something that's limited. What I want you to consider going forward is actually replacing feedback with feed forward. Yeah. Now, this is the concept which I was taught by my business coach Marshall, and I thought I would share it with you. Now, there are some very clear benefits of replacing feedback with feed forward. The first one is that successful people, they do not want to know what they're not doing so well. They want to know the ideas of how they could become better. So that's the first one. The second is that people generally don't take feed forward as personally, or rather personally, compared to feedback. Now, we might say that we are providing constructive feedback and it's all about the performance and not about the person. But let's face it, the sense of identity is so closely linked with the work that people are doing that it's difficult to de-link. And then people get into justifications and defenses go up, and it just becomes a very different kind of an exercise compared to what you really want it to be. So that's another important benefit. The other one is that the process of feed forward is a lot faster compared to feedback. And a small tip there is, rather than talking about the past and trying to prove that why you're right and the other person trying to prove, why you are not right, and getting into that deep debate and still trying to be soft and, trying not to upset the person, feed forward is pretty much like this. Look, I've gone through what you've done so far. I've got 4 ideas, 4 suggestions for you to improve on what you're doing. You might not want to consider all the 4 ideas. Even if you consider 2 out of 4, you're still 2 steps ahead. I want you to think through it, and once I finish telling you my 4 suggestions, I just want you to say thank you, but we can come back and then discuss the ideas that you want to take forward a lot more in detail. And that's it. And then you tell them what are the 4 suggestions for moving forward. And people generally it's difficult for them to critique it or criticize it because it has still not happened. And you want them to think through it and come back with more detailing. That's the other clear benefit. And as I've explained in this process, people tend to listen more closely to feed forward than to feedback. And you can imagine, I'm sure you've experienced this, that when you're giving a feedback to someone, they're actually thinking of the response in their head, that how they're going to combat what you've said, how they're going to justify that they are right and you might not be that right. And look, finally, the way I see this is as a leader, as a manager, it's more productive to help people build themselves than to actually get into that whole struggle of trying to prove a point, which is not something that I'm sure you enjoy or you even want to get into. So once again, enjoy giving feed forward to people. What is it that they can improve moving forward? Because done is done. Let's see what we can do with the future.